What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be starting a new enclosure for my Crested Gecko. Right now he's in just like a super boring, super bland enclosure. It's got some plants in the front to kind of obscure the view. It's got a little coconut hide. It's got a flat cork background and some cork logs, but it's really nothing special. And he's just a little bit too big for a 12 by 12 by 12 now. So we're bumping up to an 18 by 18 by 18. You can see right in front of the polydarium. It's going to be getting like a full wraparound sides and back, or at least mostly full. Like it'll be like halfway on the sides probably. But anyway, foam background with like driftwood and rocks and all kinds of stuff. I haven't decided whether I want to do a cork mosaic on the very back and the top section, or maybe dry lock. I kind of hate dry lock, but I kind of like dry lock, or the old school method of doing, silicone rubbed on all the stuff and then adding like peat moss on top or cocoa fiber, which is more better for the environment. But we'll see when we get there. We'll cross that bit. I almost said cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna start scaping the rock right now. You can see the foam I've got right here. I've got rocks there, and I've got rocks there, and I've got driftwood over here that you can't really see, but I've got a lot of driftwood, and it's gonna be really cool. All right, so first things first, I want to get the rock work sorted. So I've got these little pieces of foam down here to just kind of elevate the stone off of the ground. I'm gonna have a false bottom and like soil and all that stuff in here, so there's no point in burying these rocks and starting the foam background below the ground level. So I'm gonna be placing some of these and then foaming them in, and then removing those pieces of foam underneath. I'm just gonna hot glue a little bit to start off, so that way it won't shift at all once I start foaming, but we're just gonna get started with the rock work. All right, so I've added these rocks, and these are obviously not glued down, these two detail pieces, but I'm just realizing how difficult it's gonna be to remove some of this foam afterward, which isn't the end of the world, but I don't really know how to troubleshoot that right now. So instead of trying to figure that out, I'm just gonna go ahead and start foaming. All right, so just to pause to show you guys what's happened afterward. I've plucked away a lot of the foam, so all that's in. I can't get like a lot of the base stuff down. I really should have thought a little bit more about that, but it's okay. It's gonna be hidden by soil anyway. This is not where that goes. But I've slowly started adding some hardscape. As you can see, that's most of the hardscape, honestly. Where crested geckos live, they're in like the lower 10 meters of the forest floor, so a lot of like smaller branches and like bigger tree trunks with smaller branches and stuff like that. So they're not really up in the high canopy with like the big thick branches. They're down below with lots of small deciduous shrubs and ferns and stuff like that. So the idea was just to have lots of like thinner branchy pieces, and I think we're accomplishing that really well. Still got all the manzanita to place and the cork on the back wall to place and a few more pots for plants, but I'm just slowly getting things together before I foam the hardscape in place. All right, we're in the final stages of the scape, and when I say final stages of the scape, I mean the physical hardscape, not actually making it look good. I've added the cork where I think I want it. It's all kind of glued into place. I've added a couple more pots. I've trimmed away a lot of the old foam. So now it's time to go ahead and foam all of this in, start shaping the foam, and then we're gonna paint over the foam or do the silicone and cocoa fiber method. Still haven't decided what I wanna do, but it's gonna be a pain. With the intricacies of this scape, it's gonna be really hard to get back there. It's not that bad, actually. I'm gonna have to get really creative with how I coat all that stuff, but it should make this an interesting build nonetheless. But yeah, time to foam. I'm done with the foam. That's all it's getting. I can kind of show you, I guess, if we go this way, what it's looking like. I've got it laid on its back because I'm about to add the final layer, but that's, I guess, from the top. I wonder if this is messing up the camera. But yeah, so I've got it laid down flat with the doors open and all that kind of stuff to easily access the back. And then once everything is coated in a thick, goopy layer of silicone, I'm gonna just be able to kind of sprinkle from the top instead of, if you've ever done it on the sides, like tried to apply cocoa fiber or like a soil mixture to silicone, it's a pain. You gotta kind of like toss it and like hope it sticks and like kind of pile it up and push it, and it's a real pain. This is the easiest way to do it. Because once it's done, you just kind of push it all down and lift it up, and the excess falls down to the bottom, and you just vacuum it out. So I've got a big bag of Eco Earth, I've got gloves, and I've got silicone. So we'll probably just put this on time-lapse mode, and I'm going to get started because this is not a very exciting part. All right, so that didn't exactly go according to plan. One thing about doing backgrounds like this is you have to make sure your materials are dry. If they're not dry, they get messed up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I've already kind of shaved away some of this stuff because I want to redo it basically. But, so you can kind of clearly see, this is shaved away, but this is how that stuff cured on. You can see just awful coverage, everything just slid off, and that's because there was a lot of moisture in the cocoa fiber that I was using. So, let me see. If we look at this, this is very, light in coloration. Ooh, geez, let's just drop that again. Very nice and dry, whereas look how dark the stuff that I was working with is. And it's because it's got that moisture in it. And the top layer is watch, if I push this out of the way, you'll see it's gonna get darker down in there. And that's that moisture, and it just messes up with the curing of the silicone. And then when I was expecting, super satisfying, I'm gonna tip this thing over and all the loose stuff is gonna come off, and that's just not how it went down. So I trimmed away some of this stuff, and we're gonna try again. I've got some more silicone, just went to Lowe's. Just using the classic GE silicone one, clear. I wish they had a black silicone, but I couldn't find any. Ooh, just almost dropped that silicone. Probably not the best space for that to be. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try it again with a new mix that has bark and actual dried cocoa fiber and leaves. And yeah, we're gonna give it another shot. All right, so I did the sides kind of off camera. I figured that the best method that I've come up with so far is basically you lay it on the side that you want to do, lay down the bark first, and then push the bark, like orient the bark so that it's not like kind of piled on top of each other, and then go ahead with your dried sphagnum moss, leaf particles, and cocoa coir, and you're gonna get a very, very nice setup. But yeah, I am really, really, really liking the way that this is all set up. It's got 5 pots, so there's a pot here, as you can see, another one right here, one right here, one right here, and then there's another one tucked away behind this rock right here, behind that rock. So it's, I don't know if we're gonna be able to see this. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so 5 pots, plenty of places to plant epiphytes in here. I can plant stuff on the ground and have it crawl up the wall. These little gaps back here are kind of hides that I made for him, so he'll be able to crawl down into there, and there's a big gap. And you can see that it's black right there because I put some scraps of black vinyl that I had laying around on the back just to black out that so there wouldn't be light coming from forward, and it would make him feel a little bit more secure. But I'm super, super, super happy with this, the way this turned out. I love this scape. Very, very happy with it. I don't know how I'm going to plant it yet. The plan is to use a very specific plant, but I don't have it. You can't get it in the US. So I have to order spores online and then try to grow them here. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and rinse everything off, and then prep the drainage layer. Our drainage layer has been added. It's just, rinsed off lava rock. There's always like some kind of like clay-like residue on it, so you want to rinse that off. But I tried to take out as many big stones as I could so it would be more uniform. Leca is always better. I have access to Leca at work. I don't know why I don't use it more. This is just cheap. It's like $6 for a huge bag of it. And I am cheap sometimes. But yeah, so that, and then just stainless steel over the top. I hate working with stainless steel, but I have a huge roll of it, so I'm trying to use it all up. But for substrate, I'm going to do a base layer of fluorite. Just this junk. There's actually some aqua soil in there. Yeah, just fluorite, some aqua soil in there. And then I'm going to do like an ABG mix on top of that, and then do leaf litter next. All right, so this first layer was really just to kind of fill in all the little gaps where I couldn't like kind of reach the drainage layer. And then this layer was just the extra background material. And then it was time to kind of fill in the background. I thought about doing vinyl again, but I saw some people doing just black paint. So I decided to go with that, and it actually came out pretty nice. This is just the first layer. And I also ended up taking the vinyl off of the back of the tank and applying paint back there just because I liked the way it looked. And I may go ahead and trim it with a razor blade, but maybe not. And then the first plant I added was this Schefflera amata. It's a large kind of deciduous tree, but it should do really well for the Crested Gecko. And then I got a bunch of different types of ferns. I think that was Parvati, and then this one was the most root-bound plant I've ever seen in my entire life. You could see me kind of prying on the root ball with a piece of bamboo. It was awful. I don't know if it's gonna live or not, but we'll see. And after that, I just started to kind of place some plants temporarily to see what went where and what would look good in different areas. And I tried all these ferns in pretty much every different pot in the tank before I figured out how I really wanted to plant it. But I knew I wanted that Schefflera right up front in the middle to kind of obscure the back of the tank to make him feel nice and secure back there. And once I figured out how I wanted everything to be laid out, I went ahead and started planting. All right, so I've got most of the big plants that I wanted in here. Yeah, let me just show you. So I wanted to plant it fairly basic in here. The landscape on the Isle of Pines where the Crested Gecko is found is dominated by these ancient gymnosperms, lots and lots of tree ferns, and then smaller deciduous shrubs. So obviously I can't have tree ferns in here because they grow quite large. I do have a dwarf species of spore coming. It's going to take a while to grow those. So for now, we're just using a variety of different ferns that I found and like the texture of them just to create some, contrast. But then we can't do pines, of course, because pines get massive. But I did want to do a Southeast Asian tree, like a small deciduous tree. So this is that Schefflera amata or amate or whatever it's called. And so a shorter tree like this is more realistic of what a Crested Gecko would live in. The lychees and the kahuas and the bigger New Caledonian species occupy the higher ranges of the canopy, whereas the Crested Geckos occupy the lower areas, like the lower 10 meters or so. So a short deciduous tree would be really good for them. And I've got two of them here. You can see there's one back there as well. But yeah, now basically what I want to do is add some detail. I want to add some smaller vines, some creeper stuff that'll fill in the background over time. I've already added a Rhaphidophora cryptantha, so we'll see how that does. This is a new species for me. I haven't tried it yet, but I do love shinglers. I love Markravia, but I am trying to keep it more Southeast Asian vibes. So I'm gonna break into the good stuff. Just tons and tons of clippings of random plants in here. I don't think I'm gonna put any Markravia. I've got a bunch of Alcoca, but probably not. I'm probably just gonna throw, I can't remember what this is called, but a bunch of this, maybe some of this, and this creeping fig, because creeping fig always works. All right, so it's the next day. I added all the plants that I really wanted to add in here. We added some Ficus pumila, you can see down there. This is, you can't really see, this one right here, right in front of the Rhaphidophora cryptantha, this little Johnny. hopefully this grows in. That's our Arthrostemma parvifolium, Hoffmannia fantasia, some begonias over here. There's a bunch of random stuff that I threw in. I don't really remember everything. Some sphagnum moss here and there. That's a Rhaphidophora. Oh, you can't see it. Never mind. But I also got this magnetic food and water dish, and I absolutely love that thing. It's super sleek. Whenever you're looking at the tank, like from actual... I'm standing on a chair. Rolly chair. Danger zone. Whenever you're standing at about this height, this is kind of like how you're looking at the tank because that's how tall I am. It really disappears, so I'm really happy with the way this one came out. The bowls are a little bit big for him right now. They're quite large, so I'll probably use his old smaller bowl, the little silicone one that I have, and just place it inside that bowl for now until he gets a little bit bigger. But we're gonna go ahead and add some freshly boiled leaves. This is just some oak leaf litter, just to make everything bioactive. I'm just gonna throw these guys all throughout the tank. Why is this leaf doing that? Why are you doing that, buddy? That leaf was being weird. I had to do something about it. But yeah, I'm going to throw all of these leaves in here to give the isopod something to munch on, and just to kind of complete the look of a nice naturalistic bioactive enclosure. Oh, I forgot. There's some like really tiny begonias in here, and I really don't want to kill those, so I should make sure I'm not covering them up. So this is my isopod setup, so I'm just going to dump these guys out and kind of go through it. One of the beautiful little isopods I've got in here, these are powder oranges. And there's some babies in here, so I'm probably just going to dump the whole thing inside the vivarium. Next up we've got springtails. You can see some of the adults there. And last but certainly not least, the man of the hour. Look at how beautiful he is. He's usually a little bit more orange. Come here, buddy. Come here. Ooh. Okay, that's a good sign that this was the right plant for the job. He just jumped right off of my hand, landed on the plant. Okay, come on, let's try that again, buddy. Come here. You can't jump. Don't jump. Don't jump. Now jump. Jump. There we go. Look at that. He's a little bit slippery. Oh, no, he's got it. I don't need to help him. He doesn't need help. Look at that. That's perfect. That's actually really, really cool. I was hoping that this plant would kind of support his weight, but it looks like it's doing a much better job than I even anticipated. So I'm going to give him a little bit of time to get situated. And yeah, it looks cool. Alright, so it's the next day in here, and he is just chilling. You can see him right behind these leaves. Gonna focus on him. There he is. Chilling right on one of the big Schiffelera leaves. So he really likes it in here. It looks like he took a little bit of the food, found his way over there. So he's loving life in here. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Lots of new projects coming. I've got some other stuff in the works, and I'm hopefully gonna be getting commissioned to build some cool stuff for a plant store that I work at. But yeah, he needs a name. Chad doesn't really fly in this household, apparently. My girlfriend hates that name. No offense if you're named Chad. That's not me who hates it. I think it's a great name. But it's not fitting for our gecko, unfortunately. So if you've got any suggestions, drop them below in the comments section. And thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.